Okay, everybody out there, this is Texas Danny calling, and this is kind of just a short advisory video on a situation here, kind of a briefing, give everybody an idea of what I believe is going on, even though I don't know. I don't think anybody knows for sure. That's one thing I've heard before. It's true, it's correct, but that doesn't say you turn your brain off and try not to collect your thoughts about the events that are happening. I'm one of the people from the Mandela effect, the quantum effect. I am somebody who surfed off their planet, their version of Earth, and wound up on another one. It was early June 2016, just a few days after my birthday. I happened to be on a vacation break, and at night I was watching the YouTube channels and looking in, and there was someone on there named Photo Helix. Now, Photo Helix was a preacher from Tennessee who I wasn't very aware of. I've maybe seen him once before, twice, I don't know for sure. And he was talking about he was very excited, and he was talking in terms that he believed that the Holy Bible had changed, right? The subject he was on was that the term had changed from wineskin into bottles. That in the Holy Bible, the term that used to be called wineskins in a phrase or a chapter or something in there, which I'm not familiar with, right? But he said that it changed from wineskin into bottles. Now, I did not know the particulars about the chapter he was looking into or what book it was. I just was going by literally the only thing I had to go by was my memory of old Bible movies. And in these old Bible movies, I just remember, I mean, the guys, if they had wine, they had to have the wine in dried animal skins to hold it. They couldn't. They didn't. Glass technology had not been invented. Okay, now that night, I looked at it, and that's the only thing I could think of it. I said that's weird. That's and I tried to remember where I had an old Bible, and another thing came up on another channel as well. There's a retail brand that exists here, that existed where I was, and it was Safeway, right? Safeway. And it was, at the time, I had been buying just on and off, buying these Safeway cloth bags for the store, whatever like that, to buy it, so you wouldn't use plastic that much. And on the Safeway symbol, on the thing, in the middle of our Safeway symbol, it had a big white S with red borders on the other side, each other side of the curve of the S, surrounding the S. So it was white, right? It was white with red on the outside. Well, this guy was on there saying the thing has changed, thing has changed, and it's now showing that it's red. It's red, and I thought, that's funny. Well, I said, there's no way for me to verify that now. I'm going to go to bed, pop an Ambien and go to bed because I don't know where I even have one of those bags. Then I just realized, I said, wait a minute, yes, you do. You know exactly at the end of the room. Take a look around. I'm a messy person. I had stuff piled up. I took a look around, and there it was, and it had changed. It was red S with white on the outsides, on the left and right, banking it, curving it. So I thought, well, that's weird. And I watched one or two more stuff about flat Earth, which I'm not a flat earther, but I am one of these people who now say, hey, what is the environment we're in period, right? Because I'm planet hopping. I'm not even on the right place. But it hadn't happened to me yet. That night, I took an Ambien and went to bed. I woke up fairly early the next morning. It was sunny out. It was June 5th, 2016. Right off the bat, I could see even indoors there was something wrong with the lighting. The light to my eyes was all off. It was different. It was strange. It was like semi-glowing or something like that, like a special effect if you have. Picture if you had an acid trip and you didn't have any ill effects to it, right? You just it had the lights around or whatever like that. Well, I walked outdoors. It was early Sunday morning. There was no one there. And I walked immediately over there. I am not far from the apartment fence line that I live next to. And I looked at the fence, and I swear I looked at it, and it looked like it had been painted not 5 minutes ago. Matter of fact, it looked like it had been so freshly painted that I probably just missed the painter if he was there. And I looked at it, and I said, this has been painted just now. It's been painted just now. The way it looked, the texture, everything else like that. But then I looked around and I looked at the grass, and the kind of the neon yellow filament that's in the grass was exaggerated, right? And all the grass seemed ever so slightly illuminated. Then I looked above me to where my up the stairs neighbor was, who had flowers like these fake flowers in a basket, overhanging the railing, and I could see on these flowers that they seem to have some kind of special effect lighting on top of them as well. It was strange. I couldn't figure it out. Then I started looking at the sky. And then the sky was so obviously different. I said, that's not my sky. That is not the sky of the earth. And the light from the sun was different. It was off. Everything else like that, right? I knew, it came to me in an instant, I am no longer on my earth, right? I did an Egyptian pharaoh thing and went from planet A to planet B, and all my stuff came with me. Those ancient Egyptians knew what they were doing when they were wrapping stuff up and putting it in Pharaoh's tomb. Believe me, they were throwing stuff in there and say, yeah, it's all going with you, Chief. Everything is going with you. Y'all, all your toys, all your favorite this and that, it's going to be going with you where you're going. I guarantee you, because we got a receiver. Now, we had pyramids as well. We had what I like to call a Papa pyramid, a Mama pyramid, and a baby pyramid. In other words, one large pyramid, one medium pyramid, and one small pyramid. All right? We didn't have two damn near Papa pyramids, or two gigantic Mama pyramids, whatever you want to call them, and one sort of like a big baby pyramid. These were different. This is a different situation, right? Which that should get you all thinking right about now about the pyramid situations. Is this different everywhere? Okay? Has somebody been around town making sure that the right pyramids are in the right places for transport? Because I'm thinking about the possibilities of what happened. And all of us who have over the years been talking to each other in commentaries and so forth like that have talked about, well, maybe we don't know if we died at some time or were killed in some way and we were not aware of it. That could have been my night to croak. That, like that was my last Ambien. Sorry, Chief, that was it. But I didn't have any ill effects, or I wasn't feeling weird or anything else like that, and I slept normal. But I decided to start right away and calling people, okay? Because I was sure of it. I said, this ain't my earth. I mean, it was like you did not have to spell it out for me in big letters. I got it in the Chinese cookie, fortune cookie, right? Yeah, you on other earth. Okay, that's how that one came out. We're in a time right now where we need to look at our situation because things are rapidly evolving. I've been looking around again on Google Earth, okay, and some limited other literature sources, printed sources. Those also actually change as well if they change on Google Earth for me. But mostly I'll go by Google Earth because I've even got a painting that's changed inside my kitchen that's painted that's of New York, and Manhattan Island is on there, and piers and stuff like that that were never even on there before are on there now. And they showed up, this Pier 15 showed up about 3 or 4 months ago. Okay, we are changing, folks, and I believe it's by design. Okay, now I can see it as a mix of spirituality and high technology, both mixed together. And if you all haven't noticed, the Earth here is a little different, has a little bit of a different take on things. Now, I did not come from a wonderful, wonderful world. I came from a messed up, boy, did we have problem world. And I'm sad for some woman that I saw when she made a commentary. She said, I came from such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful world. How did I wind up on such this world here? And I'm thinking, I said, gee, I'm sorry for her. I said, for me, it was just like one half rail down the ladder, one short step down the ladder. It wasn't much of a movement at all. But when I started looking, and it was difficult at first. I couldn't see hardly anything for a day or two. Now, I went to courtesy of the police because I had to tell my tale to the police. Hey, I'm here not by any act of my own, but I'm here, right? And everybody listened politely, just like professionally, like. And you could think, you got to think what they're thinking. The other thing is like, wow, man, this guy, he needed some sleep. One officer asked me, he says, when's the last time you slept? Okay, and it was sleep wasn't a problem. But I was wanting to talk to anybody, sort anything out that I could, as much as I could. And they took me to a nearby hospital, which it was all illuminated. It was daytime when they took me, but it wasn't long before it was night. Plus, I could smell the entire hospital, like if you put it in one of those urine containers or something that you have to use, the kidney-shaped pans, and if you poured out the contents of the smell of the entire hospital right into one of those bowls and put it inches from my nose, I could smell everything. The smell was exaggerated. It wasn't foul. It was just I was smelling the contents of the place, the entire contents, and it was wild. And I was looking at anything and everything looked strange. Everything had a look like it had just been painted as well. Like how you have very small fixtures that are on the wall or something like that, materials, anything else like that looked exaggerated in its being raised or something like that. All my senses seemed to be hyper exaggerated to an extreme. And I was looking at the place and I said, I'm watching a different movie. I am not on my version of Earth. This place is different. Now, since then, though, I came back and I talked with a couple nice counselors who were very nice to take my woe was me. I left my Earth kind of woe story and all that kind of thing like that. But I went home, and later that day, I also panicked because I wondered if my job was there. Well, I literally didn't even think. I said, there's a possibility my job doesn't exist here. And later I went and found out that it did. It was there. Even someone who was there who I recognized. Okay, I'm wearing an Army hat. I want you to take note of that. I'm mentioning this for a reason. There are things we remember in life that we commit to memory. That there are moments that this is a moment to remember. Mine is when I raised my right arm for Uncle Sam, United States Army. Okay? I was going to go in the United States Army. And I lifted my arm back, and I remember the posture. I remember the height, everything. I cannot put my arm back in that position. And it's not due to age. It's due to anatomy. The human anatomy here is different. The human skeleton here is different. For example, behind my binoculars there, we had like a hard nitrous goggle, loop 8 sockets. We did not have a funnel bones going back behind our eyes. If you put a stick into somebody, whoever had a foreign object rammed into their eyes, there was nothing that it ran into except hard nitrous. There was no bone material back there at all, right? We did not have that there. We also didn't have a brain stem. We had a neck bone that came out kind of pinned together at the back and went up to the back. Our heads were more round. Here, your faces come out fuller, further, okay? And your ridgeline goes up sharply and distinctly because there's a gap we didn't have at the side of the head. We didn't have indentations there. I used to rub that area when I got a headache because it would sometimes just help. I could sometimes feel the vein that was there. And if I took too much Excedrin or aspirin, I would hurt myself because it was too much blood serum. But I did that for years and years because it would help with with tension headaches and stuff like that. And here, just like you can figure out anything, I can feel there's an indentation there. We didn't have any. We didn't have an indentation there. But what's weird also is my mouth, my teeth, they fit the bill. They look, guess what? Like my teeth, right? But they're not the same thing. It's hard to explain. I used to be conscious of my ears, a little self-conscious, because the way my ears came up and stuff like that, sometimes my earlobes were exaggerated. They were a strong feature in my face. That's the only thing I didn't like. I thought, well, my earlobes are a little too prominent, but but the ears here are further back to the rear and slanted and pointed up, right? Mr. Spock on Star Trek, his ears would have been in a different position, even his fake ones. All that kind of thing like that. Look for the famous picture of him doing this. That's also how I can see, boy, if I got one weird hand. We didn't have thumbs that came way out like that one is right there. This is stubby, this hand. Take a good look at it. It's got some peculiarities going on with this hand. But that thumb is much lower and wider out. And the fingers are just stubbier. The hand is more swelled. It's got different features on the back. I've got no knuckles. My knuckles, even though I consider this version of the skeleton sturdier and stronger, I wouldn't want to get in a fist fight with myself on from my old Earth, because we had knuckles. We had knuckles. Here you don't got no knuckles. As a matter of fact, these small, tiny little hairs, which I know could have changed a little bit because of becoming gray in pigmentation, but even they're gone, right? The tiny little hair sockets that were on the fingers are gone, and also on at the where the knuckles are gone as well, right? So this is just something simple, very simple to see, and other things to feel as well. Like the pelvis here is bigger. The pelvis here is bigger, and you could tell it. This is a bigger pelvis. But things that I have noticed that are irrefutable, there are far, far, far fewer stars here in this space, this region of space in the galaxy, or wherever we're at. That could be all an aquarium show up there. You know how they put nice aquarium fixtures up there to make the fish feel good? That could be all show up there. So considering that, right? But there are far, far fewer stars, and the our sky was a kind of a ultra light, deep royal blue, if that makes sense. It was like if you could take deep royal blue and make it an ultra light royal blue, because our sun was yellow, right? And that's another thing. Coming over at one time, I realized I'm looking up at the sun. How am I looking at the sun? I said, on my Earth, we could maybe look at the sun with not much bother or anything like that, a full 5 to 10 seconds. And then it has like, oh, hey, man, you got to call this show off. Maybe if you really went at it, really, I mean, and you could take the pain, 20 seconds. But believe me, by 20 seconds, you're really feeling the pain, and you're hardcore if you could go that long. In other words, you can see the sun here and look directly at it much longer to its effects. But of course, I examined things and looked, and I tried to find out about human nature, and I tried to figure out folks, and I, of course, reflected on my own life, looked at this society, and when I saw the maps, I said, the North Pole is not there. Antarctica, we called the North Pole Antarctica. Antarctica wasn't gone. It was not there. Instead, we had places like Andorra between Spain and France. We had no Andorra between Spain and France. And we had no Svalbard either. That would have been covered by Antarctica, that northern pole. And it covered a good part of the northern part of the Earth, right? Our Earth was larger. It was larger. And the strange thing is I cannot tell any difference in gravity. Believe me, I'm not like bouncing 10 feet off the surface here thinking, this Earth is so much smaller. I could just bounce around like this. No. Gravity feels exactly the same, exactly. And that's why I want to mention gravity right now to come to the point here. Through my observations, I have been saying for some time that I am observing the Earth getting smaller in my belief. As I watch things, as I started watching small areas, and then I watched some with amusement as some areas came in, namely some mountain ranges out in Wyoming, and that kind of thing like that. And I was trying to figure out, well, what am I watching? Am I watching the process of them developing? Because I figured they got to layer this thing out somehow, one way or the other, to put this digital display out there. But then I saw this going on all the way out. Hainan Island, right, became a tiny speck and turned into 100 plus miles island off of southern China. I can also see changes that even though things were very, very similar, The United States was smaller. Canada was smaller. Mexico was smaller. China was smaller. Russia, the biggest country on earth, was even smaller, right? And things are happening there right now and happening worldwide that tells me we have not stopped getting smaller. It's a slow, steady process. I don't believe it's by much. And again, I've said I'm just guessing. My best guesstimate is that we lose on average every day the equivalent of one average commercial parking lot. Like if you go to any kind of a strip mall or anything else like that, and say you had say there's a car section that lot can hold 80 cars or something like that for that strip mall or something like that, or that section of the business can hold 80 cars over there, that kind of thing like that. It's like one of those a day, but every single day, non-stop. Non-stop. Okay, we're having more time changing. Oh, more than ever before. Well, we got to change time changing early, even earlier. Why? Okay, on the map, the orientation of countries has changed as well. Like if a map place they used to predominantly be displayed on the map was going from, let's see, its western nose was at 9 o'clock and its eastern nose was at 3 o'clock, and the 12 and the 6. The orientation of countries such as Turkey has changed, such as Austria has changed, Italy has changed position. Somebody out who's quantum affected out in the UK mentioned that on the internet when I was listening to one of his spots, and he was correct. It had moved even further. The Mediterranean is smaller here, and it's getting smaller still. Okay? There are activities happening. There are works going on. There's things parked up there. And I mean, they're parked. Got their spot. They got a good spot. Nice and high, off and sly. They ain't letting anything get by. They're up there. Okay? They ain't advertising, but it doesn't hurt them that much anymore if they do. Because there's a strange kiss of dissonance, disconnection here, disavowing. There's a kind of an odd stubborn-mindedness now here to information. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. If you don't like the notion of something, don't try to think it through. Just refuse it. It's stubborn-mindedness, bad stubborn-mindedness. We had it back where I was. We weren't devoid of it. We had our issues. And that's the thing about also people that I've known in my prior life as well. On my earth, believe me, on my version of earth, I didn't think everything was kosher. I thought, hey, there's some weird stuff going on in this place, right? But this goes past that, goes even further, goes past it still. The thing that'll keep in mind is there are actions taking place, actions. It's like the director who sees the stage, and he knows he's got an audience, and some of the things he can fix and some he can't. So he's got some tricks up his sleeve when he wants to kind of get people to look the other direction. If there's something he doesn't want them to see, the director will say, do this and do that, right? Keep this and that going, keep this and that busy, right? And that's all the theaters that you have here, and I'm talking physical theaters, aquatic, subaquatic, terrain, subterranean, and atmospheric, and of course the space as well. You've got too much happening as far as volcanic activity. And I believe, like I said, there's just too much evidence to my eyes that this is a mechanical place. A very, very sophisticated one, but it's mechanical. It's operated. It's technological. It's highly technological. I think we've got two places. We've got the observation arena above us, Luna. Got your overseer. That's probably engineering and Capcom control. And then there's down here. And there's probably the interior as well. And the sky art is probably made of a certain element. The sky art, now for those of you who have noticed the sky art that's up there, can't talk about the sky art, can't say what it is, but the sky art's up there. And the sky art's being worked, dissipated. And what does that help you do? What does that help you do when you dissipate things? Right? Take them from here, take it to here, take it to there, to where you want to have it go. And these things take time. You wouldn't want to do this overnight. You couldn't do it overnight, right? But you might be able to do it in a 7-year span. Just something like that. You've got, hopefully, God's good graces coming to you. I hope for that. There's one thing I did pick up. I never heard of the Berenstain Bears before I came here. But if that's kind of a play on words, you bear the stain of sin, right? Also, I never watched that movie Sinbad. I just saw it for rent one time. Didn't want to watch it. Didn't buy it. Didn't look at it. Didn't pick it up. But it had guess who, Sinbad on it. It was a genie movie or something like that, right? And I thought, no, I don't want to watch it. I get it. He's a genie, all that stuff like that. But I wasn't interested, right? These plays on words like Febreze. What do you want to do when you don't want to talk to somebody? Listen, let me talk to you. I need to shoot the breeze with you. Shoot the breeze, right? So if you can change something where somebody notices something, that's the thing to do, right? And there are edits here. Okay, Ed McMahon, right? Publishers Clearinghouse. What does a publisher do? He edits. He's the editor-in-chief. He edits all the content that is published, that's made print, that's made into fashion, that is brought into fashion. The printed word is brought into a shape to make a shape that you can understand as a language. In other words, a blank piece of paper with print on it is legible if you know how to read that language, right? And that's what's been given to us, is a lot of hints. And right now, those hints are needed badly, more than ever. I haven't been doing much lately, so I've got some things to do and get out there and get with it. Because we still have the director of the play, multiple directors, figuring out, okay, how do I sidetrack and sideline everybody on what's actually going on? And that's going on with great purpose indeed. If you can tell right now that the machine is in action, it's in gear, then there's a purpose for that. In other words, the machine comes to its final resting point. All movements have been completed. When those movements are completed, and I think it's still going to be a while, but as it comes to it, it's going to be very, very, very quick. See, a summation has been evaluated. A decision has been made. There's no climax to wait to work for. There's no further evaluation needed. There are judgments in on this deal. Okay? And it's via closing shop. Okay? Those who have been running the place for as long as they have probably are like, hey, it's almost 5 o'clock, time to hit the time cards. That's about it. Okay, get ready for it. Because it's still happening. And it's sophisticated, believe me. You're going to be sidelined like you never could believe you could be sidelined. And it's worrisome, though, too, because it seems like we're the guest of people who emotional quality has plummeted, besides intellectual faculties as well. Like I said, I did not come from nirvana. I came from a bad place. We had a lot wrong. We were ourselves had a lot wrong. I myself was a sinful person. I believe in Christ, and I kind of recommend that right now because that is sorely needed here, and that seems to be a universal thing. There's something about Christ that is coming to this place. Thank you very much, Texas Danny. Bye.